Hello, hello, hello. I know, right? I ain't been live over here in a minute. Oh, wow. Well, if you follow me on the other platforms, I've been told y'all I was going to be coming over here more often. And if you're new to me, welcome. I am the Oracle Treehouse, aka the Intuitive Rebel Healer, and this is a collective Tao session. If you're new to me, I am a healer, medical intuitive, Tao hands healer, Reiki master. I said medical intuitive, inspirational, motivational speaker, and oracle card reader, tarot card reader. I talk about energy, frequency, vibration, and this session, and I'm also a student of Tao. You may be wondering, well, what is Tao? Tao is a Chinese philosophy of 81 verses that talk about nature. And interestingly enough, it coincides with it talk about nature and how nature is. Nature is in everything. And that's what Tao is. Tao is nature, nature is Tao. But we all have our own nature, and Tao talks about that. Your own Tao is in harmony with the big Tao. How did I learn that? Something I was drawn to. But either way, we are all energy, we're all frequency, we're all vibration. We can all change, manipulate. Yeah, I don't really like that word, but it's true. But we can all change and manipulate our own energy, frequency, vibration. You just gotta learn how. That's all. You just gotta learn how. This book talks about it. Today, I want to talk about the monks. If you've been following me over on that clock app, I've been talking a lot about the monks. If you did not know, the monks are walking. I hope y'all can hear me. The monks are walking. There are these monks, they started walking in October from Texas, and they're walking through the southern states all the way to DC. They're walking for peace. I find it very interesting that they have decided to walk for peace, given that the climate that we are in today in this country. Because if you've taken a news temperature, hello, welcome. We're going to welcome, hello. But the monks are doing a walk from Fort Worth, Texas to DC for peace. What is peace? Hit the subscribe button, love. They're walking for peace, inner peace, and peace for all. And I'm so enthusiastic about it. If you know me, you know I'm all about energy, frequency, vibration, and about healing. Those monks are doing that's healing. They're healing the earth. And then also too, when it comes to Tao, in Tao they talk about yin and yang. Yin is water, feminine, flowing down, calmness. And then we have the yang, fiery, up, masculine, can get violent. I find it very interesting how they are walking in the South for this calmness, but all this craziness and stuff is going on up above. That's yin and yang. Yin and yang. Those clowns. Well, that's your perspective. Their energy, their frequency, their vibration is helping to heal. Now, interestingly enough, plant-based man, um, I'm worried people are getting the wrong idea because they are attracting a crowd. They when they first started back in October, nobody really knew. The only people that really knew were people who were on um, social media and people who actually saw them. You know, now all of a sudden they have this big crowd and people aren't understanding that the reason why they're walking is because people need to be peaceful to themselves and to one another. And particularly, my whole thing with this situation is our brothers, our Caucasian brothers and sisters. I'm going to say it for real. That is because I'm like, for real, let's keep it a buck. That's who is starting all of the unpeacefulness. Uh, yes, it's something that they do. Yes, it's something that they do on a regular basis. But I'm saying people, that's where people are getting it construed, my love. They they want you, okay, like I said, they're walking, and like I said, the Caucasian people are crying when they see them and bowing down. That's not what it's about. They are trying to get us to understand. Now, like I said, it's cool that they giving them the stuff, but if when they give them the stuff, they go right back to being racist to your neighbor, because that's what they want us to be. They want us to find our inner peace, because when we find our inner peace, then we can be peaceful to everybody else. If you're peaceful inside, you're not gonna want to kick a person's ass. As a matter of fact, there was a video going around of um in their earlier journey, a whole Christian telling him that what he was doing was blasphemy, and they didn't get into no argument. They had a really nice exchange, and the monk was very peaceful, very, very peaceful, and he let him do his thing. He went on, do your thing, homie. I'm gonna do my thing, and we're like two ships passing in the night. It's cool. It's cool. But that's what they're really walking for. Like I said, a lot of people ain't gonna understand because there's a lot of anger and just oof. But it's coming from within. It's coming from within. So it's up to us to find our own inner peace. If we don't find our own inner peace, it's gonna continue. And I know a lot of people are like, well, how do you find your own inner peace? You have to follow this. Your heart. And I can hear y'all in the ethers where Oracle, do they talk about peace in the Tao Te Ching? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. I was looking that up earlier today. I was like, where do they talk about peace in the Tao Te Ching? Now, I had to, in the Tao Te Ching, of course, the original Tao Te Ching, Tao Te Ching is written in Chinese. So, damn it, I left my fan next door. That's fine. Anywho, the original Tao Te Ching is written in Chinese. I have there are many translations you can pick up on Amazon and stuff. But, of course, we have good old AI. And you can ask what ones correlate to peace. Which verses in the Tao Te Ching correlate to that or talk about peace in the Tao Te Ching? I have to look. I'm like, let me see. What is it? You know what I'm saying? Just like, you know what I'm saying? Y'all reach for y'all's. Okay, I'm gonna reach for mine. Let's see where they talk about peace. So, verse 22. Verse 22. If you're just now joining, welcome. I am the Oracle Tree House, aka the Intuitive Rebel Healer. This is our collective Tao sessions, and today we're talking about peace because the monks are still walking And we gotta find our inner peace, y'all. And also, too, let me say, finding your inner peace, what? No, we don't want that. We don't want that. No, that's not what I wanted. I don't want that. I'm not answering that. I don't know how to take that down. Let's take that down. There we go. Okay, so I'm not saying if somebody hits you, don't hit them back. Duh. I think we all know that. However, it doesn't, what I'm saying, it doesn't have to get to that when you are vibrating in peacefulness. The Buddha talks about it. The monks talk about it. They're talking about it here in the Tao, which I'm about to show you. When you are walking in your own inner peace, you don't have to. It's crazy. I'm always getting the vision of Kung Fu Panda, the little mouse, where he's sitting there trying to be like, inner peace, inner peace. And he can still hear stuff because he got the big ears. Yeah, I can still, I can still see him. But yeah, when you're vibrating in inner peace, and I'm not saying that unpeacefulness is not gonna come your way. Come on, we live on this earth, this thing called earth, this yin and yang. All I'm saying is frequency. If you know anything about energy, frequency, vibration, you have to be in tuned like a radio. And if you're not in tune with the unpeacefulness, and if you come in contact, you're gonna bump. You're gonna bump. Energy, frequency, vibration. That's all I'm gonna say on that. Hold on, wait a minute. Okay, verse 22, they talk about peace. Verse 22. Hold on. Where is it at? Verse 22. Okay. Actually, 35. They have different ones I picked out the ones that really hit. And I feel like verse 22 is one of them. Y'all can go and check that verse out for yourself of the Tao Te Ching. Please go and check these verses out. Do your own Google search. I am just the finger pointed to the moon. So please take what resonates and leave the rest. But yeah, go check out these verses, yo. Verse 35. I think that was my favorite one. AI says, verse 35, it describes how one who embodies the Tao brings harmony and calmness, suggesting that peace is found in the embrace of simplicity and serenity. It speaks about the quiet power of peace. And then verse 58, which I'm going to go over that one too. AI says this verse discusses the governments and peace, advocating for simplicity and a light touch. It implies that a peaceful environment arises from a leader who does not impose their will aggressively. That's what we're going through now. Henceforth, the tyranny. If you watch my other videos on one of the verses where they talk about war and the one where they talk about leadership, yeah, that one right there. So here, verse 35 of the Tao Te Ching, we're in reference to peace. They talk about the consummate food and the ultimate music. That's what they call it in this translation of the Tao Te Ching. They go on to say, when you merge with the universe, the whole world is attracted to you. Discovering through you its own security, peace, and good health. Passing passing guests may stop by, at first attracted to you to your savory food and inspirational music, but they might leave more deeply enriched than they could have anticipated, because the silent song of Tao is the ultimate music, and the infinite delicacy of Tao is the consummate nourishment. The commentary it gives: Lao Tzu is no dualistic ascetic who depreciates the body and worships the soul. He doesn't preach that the ultimate peace is found only after death, provided provided of course that you have obeyed the commandments of your particular sect. Mm. On the contrary, he guests are his guests are attracted by the excellent his excellent food and music. However, when they leave, they may not only be sensationally and mentally saturated, but they might also become introduced to the wondrous experience of merging with the universal great integrity. Hmm. And when he talks about the food and stuff, I feel like he's talking about people too, not just food. And interestingly enough, I read something earlier about us being musical signatures. Interestingly enough, we are energy, we are frequency, we are vibration. So yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. Um, if you're just joining, welcome. I am the Oracle Tree House, aka the Intuitive Rebel Healer. I know I haven't been over here in forever, y'all. I'm so excited. I'm back over here. So yeah, please like, subscribe, share. If you vibing with me, cool. If not, cool. But take what resonates and leave the rest. Today we're talking about peace and finding our own inner peace through the Tao Te Ching, 81 verses of nature and life. Okay, and then 56. Okay, 58. Verse 58 is the one that really, I was like, oh, okay. Wait a minute. Hold on. Let's see. Okay. Verse 58. Is it verse 58? Verse 58, they name it alternatives. When a government is more benign, the people are more productive. When a government is more tyrannical, the people are more rebellious. But whatever the government, if disaster is the bitter fruit, wait a minute, but whatever the government, if the disaster is the bitter fruit of others' good fortune, how long can such injustice be tolerated? How long have endured, how long we have endured the hypocrisies. Those pretending to be righteous are deceitful. Those pretending to be religious revert to evil. We have been diluted, and each day it becomes worse. Be firm and armed, but do not harm. Interesting. Be as sharp as a knife, but do not cut. Be ready to transform, but do not provoke. Illuminate the darkness of ignorance, but do not blind. That is deep. That is so freaking deep. Like, I really feel like in this verse they're talking about like right now. Right now, it's a lot of crazy tyranny going on. There. Okay. Okay. Well, if you're just joining, welcome. I'm the Oracle Treehouse, aka the Intuitive Rebel Healer, and today we're talking about peace. And peace because the monks are walking from Fort Worth, Texas to DC in the name of peace. And okay, you said that already. Show me the okay. Yeah, they're walking for peace. They're walking for peace. They're healers. They are doing it physically by walking, but we as a people need to understand that we have to find our own peace. And this verse just talked about the alternatives and what happens when we as a people, the government does not allow its people to find its own peace. Can we be peaceful? I believe so. Matter of fact, this word has been ringing in my head for a long time now. Sovereignty. Yeah, sovereignty. Sovereignty means, to me, sovereignty means free. Sovereignty means true freedom. That's what sovereignty means for me. And I feel like that's what we're going for in this day and time. Spiritual sovereignty. Because every religion talks about it except for in here. And I've always said they've taken God, Tao, the source, out of the body. We know, we can sense the energies, the frequencies, the vibrations. That's part of being peaceful. When you are peaceful within yourself, you ain't gotta be, like I said, wanting to hit or smack a motherfucker. Me personally, yeah, no. Peaceful. Peaceful. Now, there are people that's not gonna like it, of course. But they're not in your energy, frequency, vibration. They're in another, and what they say, what they eat don't make you shit. So yeah, we find our own inner peace, and if we're not peaceful, we have to find it. How do we find it? Respond to when things make us uncomfortable, or not respond, but understand and move accordingly when things, because we have a reason for having fear. The emotion of fear does have a function. Anger too. Those negative emotions have a function, but they're not something that we sit in, we grow in. That's when you turn to the dark side. Actually, that's when you turn to the dark side. And we don't want to stay on the dark side, because the dark side makes us look bad. It makes us feel bad. It brings sickness when we wallow on the dark side. But every now and then, like that fear is there to let you know, warn you of, impending possible danger. But if you move over here, you ain't gotta worry about it. You vibrated this frequency, you ain't gotta worry about it. So yeah, same thing with anger. I'm being reminded of American Gods. Anger gets shit done. And it does. It, oh my God, it does. Anger gets shit done. If you look back in history on the people, look, it's, matter of fact, it's about to happen now. It is. It's gonna happen eventually. My girl, I'm always reminded of my girl, Kimberly Jones. She wrote a real good book. Matter of fact, she did the speech back in 2020 about comparing us to the Monopoly game. Yeah, oh my God, I love that speech. Ah, she wrote a really cool book too on how to help us get out of this mess. I have her book. I have that book actually. But at the end of it, she says that they need to be happy. We're only seeking, I forgot what the word, but we're not seeking revenge. However, with everything that's going on, you're taking our peace away. So yeah, the commentary. And then, okay, I love here in the Tao, they break down the yin and the yang, okay? In this verse right here, they break down the yin and the yang. Those who pretend to be righteous are deceitful. That's a yin yang thing. Those who pretend to be rebellious revert, or righteous. Those who pretend to be righteous revert to evil. That's a yin yang thing. We have been diluted, and each day it becomes worse every day. Be firm and armed, but do not harm. I have a PTR that says, do no harm, but take no shit. That's a yin yang thing. We walk in peace, but we not going, that turn the other cheek thing just don't vibe. How tall am I? Why? Why does that matter? Why does that matter? Be as sharp as a knife, but do not cut. Be ready to transform, but do not provoke. Illuminate the darkness of ignorance, but do not blind. A yin yang. A yin yang. So there is no, this is why I love Tao, because it is not teaching kumbaya. It's teaching, we can be kumbaya, but if you come over here with that bullshit, it ain't. But it can always be kumbaya. But, however, that's the beauty of Tao. I feel like in some religions, the things that they talk about here, do no harm, take no shit, is equate to the whole sinning thing and the whole karma thing. Like, I think they believe in karma in the whole Buddhist thingy. They talk about karma. Infinity. What you throw out, you get back. Be kind. If you throw out kindness, kindness will come back to you. But yeah, there are no labels, I guess you could say, in Tao when it comes to stuff like this. But yeah, check out what verse is this? Verse 58 of the Tao Te Ching that talks about peace. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. But yeah, so I have ranted enough. I hope this was helpful. Check out the Tao Te Ching, y'all. Oh my God, I love this book. I love this book. I'm gonna be bringing back the 100 days of Qigong. If y'all are new to me, I'm a student of Qigong. I've been practicing for it's been a minute now, and I've been guided to teach it. I'll practice it, but y'all, I guess y'all can say teach it because I'm still learning myself. If you're not familiar with Qigong, Qigong is the cultivation of one's energy and breath via movement and meditation. And it is through these movements and meditation one heals themselves from the inside out. And when you heal yourself from the inside out, you, what's the word I'm looking for? You're more aware of your emotions. You're more able to um, tune into your body, to understand your body. And I'm also going to bring my other, start talking about medical intuition, because I do medical intuitive readings, but we're at a time right now where we really need to understand our energy, our frequency, our vibration. Because we're energy, we're frequency, we're vibration first. Everything is energy, frequency, vibration. From this piece of paper to you, to this phone that I'm doing this on, we are all energy, frequency, vibration. We just have to learn how to sense it, tune into it, and move it around. So that starts with finding yourself and listening to this. So with that said, I want to send out healing energy vibes to y'all as appropriate. I feel like it's been going out, period, this whole session, but that is the energy, the frequency, the vibration that I vibrate to. We gonna do a healing session another day. I don't want to do that today. We'll do that another day. But if you have questions or concerns or comments, please post your comments here in the section. If you would like private healing session or private reading session, click the link in my bio, and you'll be able to see the services that I offer. And yeah, like I said, I'll be back up here. I miss doing my lives here on YouTube. So yeah. Anywho, I'm gonna holler at y'all later. Y'all take care of yourselves. Love yourself so you can love one another. Bye.